Real quick, I don't know much about this story, so I'm going to just read it from Twitter. But this is from Jason Schreier. He said, Blizzard co-lead Jen Oneal just told staff she's stepping down, leaving Mike Ybarra or Ybarra or YBARA as the sole head of the company. Now,
Ybarra love a demo.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
I bet he does.
Wow.
He probably has played a ton of them. He's like, oh, this is pre-release build. Okay, all right. I'm treating it as a demo.
Yeah. Jason moves on to say a very short run. Oneal and Ybarra took over Blizzard leadership in August following the departure of J. Allen Brack, who left in the wake of the California lawsuit against the company for sexual discrimination and misconduct. In an email to staff, Oneal says she's leaving, quote, to dive deeper into the admirable causes of Women in Games International, a nonprofit devoted to equality and diversity in gaming, and that Activision Blizzard is giving $1 million grant to the organization. The news means that in the wake of a widespread reckoning over how its culture mistreated women, Blizzard has gone from having a male and female co-leaders to again having a single male boss. It's funny, when we talked about this back in August, we said, ooh, a co-lead thing. I don't see that lasting very long. We all kind of had that sentiment, it seemed like, but we were, rooting for them because it seemed like it was a great way to have built-in accountability. You have, a man and the woman at the top sharing responsibilities. This news to me just broke. Chris, what's your thoughts at hearing that?
I mean, I know that I was one of the ones who's like, anytime there's a co-CEO or co-whatever, like, it always just feels weird to me. And it's like, I don't like the whole sentiment of the buck stops here and there. Like, that doesn't really work for me. So
that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think, I didn't have an opinion on who I thought might leave, and I didn't even necessarily think that they would, because there's lots of places that have had the thing going, and they had for years and years and years. So while I ultimately thought it would not necessarily work out, this does feel pretty quick. But at the same time, like, I feel like that's a really good spot for her to move on to if it's this nonprofit that's, uplifting more women in gaming. It might be one of those things where just happenstance is like, shoot, I had no idea this opportunity was going to come up. And it's like, sometimes when those opportunities arise, you just got to take them, kind of thing. It may have just ended up being something like that. And it's not necessarily that it's anything else other than that, simply.
Yeah.
Ed, was it a bummer to you to see, with everything going on, if one person was going to leave, I was kind of hoping it was the guy and leave the lady in charge. What do you think? Does it look like, or are you just taking it face value, or?
A little bit. Yeah. And especially because they just, I don't know how recently it was, but pretty recently, where they had come out saying, look, moving forward, here's what we're going to do. We're going to focus more on having, this percentage more minorities and this percentage more this and this percentage more that. So it was a little weird then for her to step out, and it's like two dudes again. It just it was just, I just hate it all so much. Just the reason behind everything. And it just makes me sick.
I'm the same way. I'm like, and I'm glad there was no drama. Like, me and, homeboy just couldn't get along. Me and Mike,
Right. Because if I feel like if it was any other company at any other time and there wasn't this scandal putting a shadow over everything, you'd just be like, oh, she stepped down. That was quick. And so-and-so's in her place. And that would be it. But because there's all of this backstory and this stage setting looming above everything, it's like, oh man, but now everything's got extra weight and extra gravitas to it. And, it's easy to project more onto it than there may be.
Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you, Ed. I think the whole thing sucks. And to be honest, even back in August, and we had these co-CEOs, and one's a man and woman's a woman, I'm like, I honestly felt very jaded by that. And I'm like, all right, now you guys are just trying too hard and you're kind of overcompensating for what happened because you got busted. And so, oh yeah, let's get more female people up in these executive positions. And it doesn't need to be that way. And I think it can be done in a natural, organic way, as it should in any corporate or any business. And then to have, I love the fact that she's moving on to do something that is, for women in gaming. I think that's great. If we didn't know what was going on, I think a lot of people would probably talk a little bit more about, I wonder what happened. But it sounds like she, like Chris said, she had this opportunity, and you know what? You go for it in a situation like that. So I don't know. I feel like we're kind of back to square one with them, and okay, now what? What are you going to do to kind of prove to us that your actions are going to start speaking louder than your words? So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you're saying for Mike, the guy left to run Blizzard.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like. I don't remember you saying it, and I'm assuming it didn't say anywhere in there, because for everything that we can see, at least so far, like you were saying, it seems like it's all on the up and up. There's no animosity there with her leaving. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't sound like, but that's not to say that they're not actively looking to replace her and that another person can come in. Now, I don't know if it'll be a co-lead situation, but I very much got the impression before, even when they had this set up, it wasn't like, and we're done with that. Okay, we can move on. It felt like they were continuing to find more leadership. So while this may put that back a step,
women, and it
seems like they could continue to get more people to fill in these areas. So it's not to say that they're like just resting on it like, oh, we're just going to stick with Mike. They may still be trying to actively replace her with, another candidate that could very likely be another female.
And look, if he's doing a good job, great. Keep it going. Keep things moving. But let's, just make sure that you're aware of what's going on here. And I'm always just
very aware.
I'm always just a big believer in let your actions speak louder than words. If you're going to run this company, run it, and run it the way, run it with integrity, run it the way you want to run it, but also keep in mind, all the other factors that are happening within this company. And so it's weird.
One thing I do like is that I would imagine that a lot of ladies at Blizzard looked at Jen and was like, we have an advocate.
Yeah.
And I would imagine in their meeting, she's like, ladies, I'm going to be looking out for you. And not even having to say that out loud, but just with a look saying like,
right.
I get it. So at least she's stepping down and going to something that continues that conversation.
Agreed.
It's not like she's leaving and going to Midway, you know what I'm saying? Or, so just some other developer, which I think Midway is Activision Blizzard. But, she's just not jumping ship for, Insomniac or something like that. So I do like that. It seems like maybe she's even going to be able to affect more change at the new job that she's going to be at.
Yeah, man.
So that is encouraging, because I do think that
definitely
that's very, very important. And I think too, even though it wasn't that long, she's going to have on her resume that she was at least the CEO or leader or whatever it was of Blizzard. That's a big deal. And so even if, even though it wasn't long and this is saying effective immediately, that's still on her resume and it still bumps her up the rungs a couple, and so, as far as how people will view her. So good on her, at least for jumping ship to that. I think that's smart.
Very much so.